Hello and welcome to Mind. Today we are going to be working on long holds in flexibility. This can be difficult sometimes because we do pause in stillness, and stillness in this busy life doesn't always come naturally. It can also be a challenge because I want you to think about really holding yourself supportive in the stretch that we'll be holding without going too far and past your edge. So being very cognizant and aware if you are hyperextending in the body, and I'll walk you through it once we do reach these poses. We also will be spending some time in inversions, not balancing inversions, just head below heart inversions, like downward dog and forward fold. So if we are in a long hold with the head below the heart and you need a break, feel free to take it. I do have 2 blocks with me today. If you have water bottles, wine bottles, or textbooks, even Tupperware or glassware containers that are roughly the same height, it can be helpful just to bring the mat closer to you. The yoga blocks will be a little more comfortable, especially if you have these softer foamy ones, if you decide to place them underneath the body at any point. So we are going to get started today in a seated position. Bring the legs into a crossed position, and you're welcome to sit on a towel or an extra padded mat to bring this anterior tilt of the pelvis, especially if your hip flexors are tight. You can also sit on a block on any setting, and you'll notice when I do this, look at my knees. They go further down because I'm not putting as much emphasis on the hip flexors holding my legs up. So you decide. Gently close your eyes. Palms rest on your legs. Your sitting bones are heavy underneath you. Slow inhale. Open mouth. One more inhale. Open mouth. Seal your lips and find natural breath. Let your core keep you in strong. Your shoulders relaxed on your back body. Heart is open as your crown continues to reach you tall to the sky. Gently begin to bring your chin in towards your chest and slowly roll right ear towards your right shoulder. Left arm will begin to lift forward and up, so fingertips reach towards the sky. Continue to let your right ear get heavy. We stretch the levator scapulae muscle. Start with your palm, bring it back down, chin in towards your chest, and then slowly roll left ear to left shoulder. Pause, let the head get nice and heavy, then reach your right arm forward and up so your fingertips face the ceiling. Palm will slowly release. Draw your chin back in towards your chest. Very gently start to lift the head through neutral and then a little past as you turn your nose up towards the sky. Gentle opening for the front of the throat. Perhaps even take bottom lip over top lip to really stretch the front side of the throat. Then gently release. Bring your chin back into neutral and blink your eyes open if they were closed. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. Exhale, right hand comes down, left arm reaches up overhead. Inhale, reach through center. Exhale, move to the opposite side. Inhale, find center. Exhale, arms on the horizon in a T. Use your core to help twist yourself towards the right. Fingertips reach away from each other. Inhale, move through center. Exhale, use your core. Twist to the left. Inhale through center. Exhale, let your hands rest on the tops of your legs. Inhale, send your heart through the gates of your collarbones. Maybe lean forward just a little bit, gaze slightly up. Exhale, round and curl through your back body, chin in towards your chest. Inhale, find your openness. Exhale, close off the front body. Feel the back body open. One more inhale. Exhale. Inhale back into center. As you exhale, walk your hands forward over your hips and start to lower your head down as far as is comfortable. Option to take a block underneath your forehead to rest here. Slowly begin to press to your palms as you lift your upper body. Walk your hands back in. You can use your hands behind you for a little bit of support as you switch the cross of your legs. Inhale, lengthen through center. Exhale, crawl your palms forward. Meet with the upper body folded over your crossed legs. Option to take a block on any setting, really underneath your forehead. And if that's too low, just hold in space. Gently press into your palms to lift yourself up. Walk your hands back in, shoulders over hips. If you used a block, gently place it off to one side. We'll meet in tabletop, so you can either roll over your crossed legs or swing your legs around from one side. And then maneuver yourself, shoulders over wrists, hips over your knees. One round cat-cow. Inhale, lift your heart, lift your tail, gaze forward. Exhale, round and curl in. This time as you inhale, gaze over your right shoulder, bump your hips slightly left, and exhale, move to the other side. Inhale through center. Exhale, toes are curled under, send your hips back. We're in an elevated child's pose. Inhale, come forward. Maybe find a small back bend, like the shoulders overshoot your fingertips, warm up your wrists. Exhale, come on back. Inhale, come forward. We do one more round. Exhale, come back. One more inhale, come forward. This time, exhale, uncurl your toes, send your knees a little wider, hips to heels for child's pose. Relax your forehead down. Release tension in your shoulders. Begin to press down into your hands, arms are long. Start to shift yourself forward and up through tabletop, then tuck all 10 toes under, lift your hips high to find downward facing dog. Feet are about hip width distance apart. You're welcome to keep a gentle or generous bend in your knees, whatever helps alleviate too much intensity in the backs of the legs while allowing your heels to descend a little further towards your mat. Use the energy, the grounding down of your palms, all 10 fingers, to push the mat away from you and to find some length in the back body as your hips continue to reach up high. Slowly begin to invite some movement into your down dog here as you bend generously into your right knee, send your left heel down, and slowly switch. Find a pace that works for you. Keep the emphasis of the press through your pointer finger and thumb. Then gently move in stillness, gaze in between your hands, and walk your feet towards your palms to find yourself in a forward fold. Once you're there, inhale, halfway rise, long back body, shoulder blades behind you, heart reaches forward. Exhale, hinge forward from your hips to fold. Shift the weight forwards into the balls of your feet. And from there, do your best to lift your hips up a little higher. You might notice some resistance in the backs of the legs. If it's more comfortable, you can always take your towel, fold it up underneath your heels. This can help alleviate some of the tension in the back of the leg. We have a nerve that runs back there, and if you feel like the stretch is more nuanced, more detailed, in a smaller kind of line versus a general stretch, that means you are lengthening into the nerve and not into the muscle. And while it's not necessarily a bad thing, I want you to focus more on lengthening into the muscles here, just so it's not quite as intense of a stretch. And lifting the heels a little bit, especially if you come all the way off of the heels, it really does relieve that nerve lengthening, because this distal end, the end point that's farthest away from the body, it's not in this pulling position with this flexed position, like pulling on the nerve. Instead, it's a little more elongated, so there's some more release. Tuck your chin in towards your chest, and your arms can be wherever is comfortable. Personally, I like to place my forearms on the high end of my block. I also have quite open hamstrings, so I can get very low. So if you are a little higher, that's okay. You're still in your forward fold. Start to come out of your generosity. If you did move blocks, just gently move them slightly out of the way. On your inhale, roll on up through your spine, stack your vertebral column, draw your shoulders up by your ears. As you exhale, roll your shoulders down your back body, palms face forward. Take an inhale. Open mouth. If you're comfortable, close your eyes. Notice the sensation you have in your head. Blink your eyes open. Inhale, sweep your arms up tall. Exhale with a long back body, forward fold, hinge from your hips. You are welcome to keep a generous or a small bend in your knees in your fold. It just depends on what's most comfortable in your body. For this version here, heel toe your feet slightly wider than your hips. Bring the weight slightly forward into the balls of your feet, and then from there, act as if you want to lift your hips up, and there should be some resistance in the backs of your legs. Interlace your fingers and bring them at the very base of your skull. Hug the elbows in, and then let your arms get nice and heavy on the back of your head. Slowly release your grip. Bring your hands down. Come out of your generosity and walk your feet back into downward facing dog. Take an inhale. Open mouth. Inhale, sweep your right leg up high, three-legged dog. Exhale, briefly knee into chest, nose to knee, and step or walk your foot in between your hands. Left knee will lower down to the ground. Inhale, palms, chest, rise to find your low lunge. We're only here briefly as a transition. Stay here one more inhale. Exhale, hands down to either frame your foot or blocks frame your foot. Send your hips behind you and keep your right toes glued down towards your mat. We move into half splits pose. Inhale, lengthen through your back body, reach through your heart. Exhale, hinge from your hips and fold. Can you get your head below your heart here as you draw your knee and your nose a little closer together? slowly begin to flex your toes instead towards the sky. Stay low with the upper body. Drop in. Stay focused. Stay mindful. Shift yourself forward back through a lunge. Blocks come away so palms can frame your foot. Back toes under, float the knee. Step your right foot back to meet your left, downward facing dog. Take a breath in. Open mouth. Inhale, sweep your left leg high, three-legged dog. Exhale briefly, knee into chest, nose to knee, and then step or walk your foot in between your hands. Lower your right knee down. Inhale, palms, chest, rise. Exhale, settle in. One more inhale. Exhale, palms down to frame your foot, or take your blocks to frame your foot. Send your hips back in space. Keep your left toes glued down for the first part of this stretch. Inhale, lengthen through your heart, your crown. Exhale, hinge forward and fold. To stretch the muscle, we need at least 30 seconds to tell the body that it's safe to relax and release the tension. It's much more beneficial if you can hold up to 2 minutes in these intense postures where we really want to stretch into the muscle. Start to flex your left toes to the sky. Shift yourself forward, blocks out of the way, palms to frame your foot, back toes under, float your back knee. Step back with your left foot to meet your right, downward facing dog. Take an inhale. Open mouth. Inhale, sweep your right leg high, three-legged dog. Exhale briefly, knee into chest, and then step or walk through. Your back heel will come down at 45 degrees. You may need to step your foot in a little bit. Generous bend in the right leg. Inhale, palms, chest, reach to the sky to find warrior one. If this is uncomfortable in your back knee, separate the feet a little wider or turn your upper body slightly towards the left, warrior 1.5. Arms continue to reach skyward. Find the strong press down into the mat with both of your feet. If you're tight in the calf of the left leg, you might feel it there quite intensely. Give yourself grace, shorten the stance if you need, or even elongate the stance if that's where you would like to go today. Take an inhale, reach through your fingertips. Exhale, interlace your fingers behind you, right thumb on top of left. Inhale, extend through your knuckles, lift your chest. As you exhale, forward fold on the inside of your right leg and try not to use the leg as support underneath your shoulder or side body. Now, if the clasp is a lot for you, instead you can interlace your forearms. So palm wraps around the bottom part of your elbow, still on the forearm area, and then from there, fold on the inside of your leg. Chin into chest, point the crown of your head down. This is humble warrior pose. The hips like to open, see if you can square them forwards.
Stay low, release your hands down. Step the back foot in a few inches to meet in pyramid pose. So you'll shorten the space between your left toes and your right heel, and you'll lengthen through both your legs. Blocks are a great option here to bring the mat a little bit closer to you. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, really hinge forward from your hips and fold. Now, if you feel like you're hyperextending in this right knee, and that's where you're really pushing the leg all the way back and the joint goes to your end range of motion, I want you to actively bring a baby bend in the knee. So if you can see me, it looks like I have a bend in my front knee, and that's one because my hamstrings are very tight today, and also because I have a tendency to hyperextend and to push my knee all the way back to its literal end range of motion in my body with the knee joint. And I want to keep this stretch focused in on my hamstring and my muscles, not so much my tendons and ligaments behind the joint. So I'm going to bring that small, gentle bend into the front knee. With hyperextending, also constantly going into that area and pushing your joint past normal range of motion, but it would be your personal end range of motion, it can make the joint very unstable over time, eventually resulting to injury in some cases. So it's something to be mindful of and to be careful with. Slowly begin to lift out of your generosity. Slide your blocks out of the way. Start to hop this left foot back to give yourself some space. Palms will plant, and then step back into downward facing dog. Take an inhale. Open mouth. Inhale, sweep your left leg up high, three-legged dog. Briefly as you exhale, knee into chest, nose to knee, then step or walk your foot in between your hands. Back heel comes down 45 degrees, strong legs. Inhale, palms, chest, rise up. Find your warrior one or your warrior 1.5. You also have the option to move your legs a little farther apart from each other, like you're on some very wide railroad tracks, just to relieve any uncomfortable sensation in the back knee. I love warrior one. It is the gold standard stretch to stretch into your calf muscle, your gastrocnemius. For a little while in the yoga world, at least in the area where I teach, warrior one was banned for a little bit. It was thought to be incredibly terrible, but I guess the yogis decided to fall back on exercise principles and decided to bring it back because this is such a fantastic stretch for the calf. Take an inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands behind you, interlace your forearms or fingertips, left thumb on top of right. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, dive forward on the inside edge of your left leg. Stay strong and focused. Do your best to square your hips as far forward as possible. They might not square all the way, and that's perfectly acceptable. And resist the temptation to rest your side body or your shoulder on your left leg. Release your grasp, palms down. Shorten your stance up, step the back foot in a few inches. Your toes still face the same direction. Option to take blocks underneath your palms to take the mat closer to you. Inhale, halfway rise. Exhale, fold in for pyramid pose. If you need blocks, please don't view them as a crutch or as a hindrance. They're very helpful. Using blocks is an acknowledgement that you realize maybe your torso or your arms aren't quite as long as you had thought they were. The body proportions, legs, torso, and arms can really influence where we can go in a pose, and that's not something that can be changed. So blocks are super helpful. Of course, you can always work on flexibility to work towards more depth in a posture, but sometimes there does come a point where blocks will be your friend. slowly back off of your generosity.
Slide your blocks out of the way. This time we'll step forward, right foot will meet the left, meet in forward fold. Take an inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold in. Notice how this forward fold might feel a little different, especially in the legs, than our first one. And be mindful of what's going on in your headspace. We've been upside down, head below the heart, inverted for quite a few moments now. Breathe with it. And then slowly start to heel toe your feet wider than your hips, heels in, toes out. Make your way into a seat. If you need to get into a seat in an alternative way, go right ahead. So once you find your seat, come into stillness. Palms rest on the tops of your legs. Take in a slow inhale. Open mouth. One more inhale. Open mouth. Return to natural rhythms of your breath. And notice how your headspace feels. Physically, the blood returns back towards the center of the body, drains out of your crown. Mentally, emotionally, what is present? What are you left with? Palms draw together, thumbs to heart space, a gentle bow, chin in towards your chest, a gesture of gratitude for choosing time for you today. Thank you for being here, friend.